Valentina Schevchenko earned the second defense in her UFC women's flyweight title reign on Saturday, defeating Liz Carmouche in a lopsided unanimous decision in the UFC on ESPN Plus 14 headliner. This fight was just one-way traffic for Schevchenko. She wins all 5 rounds on every judge's scorecard. Never really in trouble at any point in this fight and pretty much just did what she wanted against Carmouche. She didn't get the big-time finish we saw in her last outing, and that mostly came down to the fact that Carmouche was not really giving her much in the way of openings. Not many strikes thrown in this fight by the challenger, even less landed. And I think if you are going to see a big time knockout like we saw Schevchenko get against Jessica Eye earlier this year, you need someone who's going to come after the champion and try to create those openings. Otherwise, she's just going to be content kind of sitting back, picking her shots, and holding on to that title in whatever form she's able to do. And this time it was a unanimous decision in a somewhat lackluster fashion. But even coming out of this fight, we still know Schevchenko is the best in the world at this weight class. There's even less doubt about that after this fight. She avenges an early career loss, her first career loss, to Carmouche, which came all the way back in 2010 via a controversial doctor stoppage that was the result of a cut. In this fight, she comes back and proves without question who is the superior fighter, and now we wonder who is going to be able to dethrone Schevchenko in this division. Doesn't really seem like anyone has too big of a chance at this point, but she seems like she is going to be happy fighting whatever the UFC deems as the top contender in her division and just racking up as many title defenses as possible. There is more interesting fights out there for her. We all want to see that trilogy against Amanda Nunes. There is this lingering conversation about Jessica Andrade potentially moving up if she's able to defend her title against Weili Zhang later this month, but I don't think either of those matchups are super likely for Schevchenko at this point. I think she's going to want to fight contenders in her division, people that are established and working their way up as title-ready fighters. Right now, I think you have to look at Katlyn Chookagian as the top contender. It seemed like Chookagian was actually going to have the spot on this card challenging Schevchenko, but some issues in her personal life. It seems like she may have a wedding that was a schedule conflict that just didn't really make it work out for her on this date. But she is on social media right after the fight calling for a shot against Schevchenko, saying that's the matchup that she wants, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Yes, she is not on much of a winning streak, but Chookagian has won the majority of her fights at flyweight. She's coming off a nice win of her own against Joanne Calderwood, and I think that really sets up this opportunity going forward. Chookagian is competent on her feet, and I think that is what makes this matchup so interesting, more interesting than some of the other challengers we've seen Schevchenko face in this division so far. She also has a ground game as well, training with Renzo Gracie and that crew out in New York. So I still think Schevchenko comes in that fight a huge betting favorite, but compared to some of the other challengers that Schevchenko has had to face so far at 125, I think that Chookagian is probably one of the more interesting people with a more interesting skill set than what we've seen so far, and I think that is the fight the UFC will try to put together for Schevchenko coming off this title defense.